Welcome to Classic Car Garage, the classic car restoration how-to television show. We're glad you could join us again this week. If you saw last week's show, now you know that we were visiting with Tom Horvath of Tom's Custom Auto Body in Anaheim, California, and we began some of the body work on our Project Mustang. Well, we're back with Tom again this week, and we're going to continue that body work, as well as learn how to spray on a single-stage primer and learn how to block sand correctly. But right now, Tom is busy at work evaluating our patch project here. First of all, Tom, how you doing? Great to see you again. Yes. Now, we've got a little hole right here, and what's going to be the best way to go ahead and take care of this?
Well, we've got to remove all of the rusty metal inside there, and we're going to do that by using a die grinder, and we'll simply cut out that rusty metal and replace it with some new metal.
Right, and if we pack this with body filler, that just wouldn't be the way to go, right?
No, it'll come right back.
It'll definitely come out. Now, what you need to do this job in terms of things you need is a good cutoff wheel like this. Of course, this is the business end, but you also need a good pneumatic tool, and as always, buy the best that you can. And of course, Tom's safety is always of utmost importance. You've got your safety glasses on, so I'll put mine on as well too. And also, this is going to throw off some sparks. So yes. You've got your long sleeve sweatshirt on there.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll stand back and let you do this job. That is until you teach me how to do it properly.
All right.
Okay, so let's start cutting. Okay, Tom, is that about where we need to cut on this?
Yeah, we're going to trim inside the wheel lip a little bit more, and then we'll go on and clean this with a wire brush, possibly even sandblast this area, and then treat all the metal areas inside here, and then we'll butt weld a piece of metal back inside.
Okay, we want to butt weld this as opposed to overlapping it, because once again, if you overlap it, moisture can get in there and cause rust once again, right?
It just gives it a place for a problem, and it's better to take care of these problems in a proper fashion without having something that might come up later.
Right, so you better do it right the first time, or you'll be back before you know it doing it again, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's cutting out our patch panel. Now, when we come back here on Classic Car Garage, we'll weld in a new one, and we'll get you started on our next project. Don't go away, there's more show coming your way next. Welcome back to Classic Car Garage. You know, one of the neat things about doing a show like this is being able to use a lot of really neat or trick tools, and we've got one we want to show you right now. Now, Tom, this is a spot weld cutter from a company called Spottle, right?
Yes.
And how does this work exactly?
It reaches around the inside lip. We've got a couple spot welds that I've got to remove to get the rusted area out. And it reaches around the inside lip, and you simply press down on the lever, brings the drill bit in, the drill motor spins the drill into the backing area there, yeah. And removes the spot weld.
And that's really the best tool for this type of job. Once again, it is a pneumatic tool, and if you've got a compressor in your garage, you'll never get enough pneumatic tools, and this is one of the neatest here. Okay, Tom, why don't you give us a demonstration of how this works. Once again, we've got some spot welds right in here that we need to remove.
It's real easy. You simply press down. It just takes that little piece of metal off inside there. The metal's pretty rusted inside there, but there's no other way to get to those spot welds unless you cut those spot welds off of there. So we've got those off.
Okay, so now that the spot welds are off here, what's the next thing that we want to do?
Now
Actually,
we
need to clean this up, right?
We want to clean all that rust out of there. We want to either take a grinder inside there or a sandblaster, and that's probably what we'll do inside here, is just sandblast this little area in here, and then we'll prepare this inner structure so it can be top coated with a piece of metal. Right. And an anti-corrosion primer inside there.
And once again, we'll just butt weld this in here as opposed to overlap welding it.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess the next job is cleaning it up.
All righty.
All right, let's get started. Wow, Tom, this is really, really beautiful work.
Thank you.
Tell us how you got to this point.
What I did was we cut out the rusted area, and then we took a brand new piece of metal, cut it a little bit oversized to the patch area that we had,
right.
And then we actually had to trim, and you have to do this slowly because if you take down too much metal, your gap is going to be too big,
right.
Causing a problem when you weld it back in. So you want to make this patch, this is really critical that this patch is as close as you can get it.
Right.
Sometimes you don't have this kind of time to do it, but this would be what you're looking for.
Right, and really this took you about an hour to do this.
Yes.
But some people can take all day to do this because this not only radiuses this way, but also this way a little bit too. This wasn't a real simple job. How did you get this to curve this way and then this way?
You've got to basically hand form that using hammers and dollies, which is that steel block that we use to hammer and pound metal and form it, and then pliers, and we use a little brake on the end to break it back around the inside of the jamb.
And once you do this a couple of hundred times, you finally get the process right, so you can go through a lot of sheet metal with this. And now you've just clamped it on with your vice grips back here, and we're all set to weld, right?
All right.
Okay, let's put on our masks
Great.
and finally finish this part of it.
All right.
Well, Tom, this is really, really a nice piece of work. I mean, I can barely feel where the seam is here. Now, this is so nice that it looks as if you wouldn't have to use any body filler at all, but that's not really the case with this, is it?
We're probably going to have to just put a slight skim coat over the welded area, just to make sure there's no imperfections.
Right,
in there.
so we'll use our Rage Gold on this, and you'll use do another little patch panel right there, use a little more of the Rage Gold there, and this is going to look and feel absolutely fantastic.
It'll be just like it was originally.
Right, very nice piece of work. Now, folks out there, if you want to try these techniques that we've just showed you, give Tony Martinez a call at Memory Lane and buy yourself a Project Fender, and you can practice all of these bodywork techniques. Now, when we come back here on Classic Car Garage, we're going to go to work on the fender on our project car. We're going to teach you how to spray some primer and block sand. That's coming up next on Classic Car Garage. Stay with us. Well, the fender on our Project Mustang is starting to look pretty good thanks to the talents of Tom Horvath here. Tom, now I noticed that there is no body filler here, and this is very, very thin. Now, why wouldn't you want to build this up all the way out through here?
Well, the first step when we were doing the bodywork was to get the metal shaped into the right position.
Right.
The reason for that is when you put the headlight ring back on, you don't want it compressing against any plastic filler. So it's important to do the bodywork as good as you possibly can.
Right.
And then apply the filler on the
right.
outside.
The key is to bring this metal out to where it should be, and very, very, very minor amounts of filler, as little as you can get. Well, here is the headlight bucket, and as you can see, it is in pretty good shape. I guess there's a little bit of work we'll need to do at the bottom here. We'll take a couple of the nuts off here, and we'll finally see how well that this fits. I always have a little bit of a problem getting it in there perfectly, but with a little bit of practice here, of which we didn't do, I think, enough of it, it looks like it fits really quite well. So the seams are all really, really nice on this, and you had to take this part of it in just a little bit to make that seam perfect, though. I think this is actually better than it came from the factory, Tom. So we'll look forward to the whole rest of the car looking like this. Now, what is the process that we're going to go through with this fender to take it all the way to paint? What are the steps?
Well, because we've touched it so much and exposed the metal to, our hands and
oils in our hands and so forth.
Yeah, a little moisture. We have to go through and DA this panel down.
Dual action sander. We're going to use our new Dynabraids today.
Brand new Dynabraid sanders, and we're going to take down all of the little imperfections and the oxidation on the bare metal, and then apply the Evercoat Quicksand polyester spray fill primer on top of that.
Right, and this slick sand then has to be block sanded, right?
It has to be block sanded.
Okay.
And that then takes out more of the imperfections, and then we can go on to the Spieshecker urethane paint system. Okay,
so we'll be showing that on our next show, but what do you say we get started on this particular fender panel? Okay, Tom, while Ramon is out there glass beating our glove box door that we worked on in an earlier episode, we want to show the folks a little bit more about using a dual action sander. And as always, we talk about having the best tools here, and we indeed have those. These are the brand new DAs from Dynabraid, and really these are the state of the art, aren't they?
Oh yes, they sure are.
Very, very lightweight, easy to use. And this particular one has your choice of random or rotary action.
Yes.
Rotary being just going around and around. Random also sort of goes back and forth in addition to going around and around, right?
Yes.
And why would you want to use rotary versus random? What would be the difference here?
It's more abrasive, almost like a grinder, but you're using a lot finer sandpaper.
Okay, and this is a two-handed model.
That's a two-handed. This
Yours
is
happens
called
to
a
be
Palm DA.
That's a Palm DA.
Very light, very lightweight DA. Works great.
Easily controlled and really cuts down on the fatigue if you're really doing a lot of sheet metal, right?
Yes.
Well, I tell you what, I have never used the DA, at least properly. That's why I'm here. I want you to show me the proper technique to doing it. And obviously the first thing we want to do is, of course, use our safety glasses. So you put yours on, and if you'll hold that for me, I'll go ahead and put mine on as well, too. And we're all set.
All right.
All right, go ahead and hook your air hose up here. There we go. Now, obviously proper technique, this in the left hand. This is going to be the trigger on our DA right there. This is a locking mechanism, which is really handy. You just press that down and it's going to spin around for you.
And the nice thing about this too is it's a very quiet tool.
Right, I have been around some DAs before that will make you deaf. And that's one of the things that's nice about this. Got a little muffler built into it. Okay, so what is going to be the proper technique here once we've applied our paper?
You're going to use about 3/4 of the face of this.
Okay.
You don't want to dig with the DA because it could gouge the metal.
Right.
So it's important that you don't cause any work when you're using this. The function that we're using this for right now is to remove all of the little imperfections in the sheet metal.
Right.
So we're going to use slight bit of pressure towards the front, and then you just simply move it back and forth.
Okay, so we're going to sort of angle it ever so slightly, so we're only using the outer edge here, and you see about maybe this much, right?
About 3/4. Actually, you're going to use about 3/4 of the face of that. So.
Okay, so it's going to be more like this motion here.
And dragging
and it's going to be dragging back and forth.
And you'll see the path, because there's a radius on this fender, you'll see the path that it's hitting on here. So you're not going to be able to actually use 3/4 of it right now, but if you were on a flat surface, you would be able to use more of it. But right now on a radius like this, you're going to see the path it makes, and then you just overlap that a little bit until all that oxidation is gone. Okay, and we're using 80 grit paper to start with here? 80 grit.
Okay, let's give it a shot and see how well we do, and hopefully, if I do any damage, you'll be able to undo it here. Okay, our Project Car's fender has been DA'd nicely. As you can see, it's all smooth now. We brought it in here to our semi-downdraft paint booth. Now in California, you need a paint booth in order to paint a car, but it doesn't necessarily have to be downdraft. This is semi-downdraft, meaning that the air comes down from the top, it goes out through the sides here. That's just going to give you a little better paint job. And of course, a full downdraft paint booth is even just a little bit better. Next step is to clean the surface of our metal. We're using the Spieshecker Permahide Silicone Remover 7090. We put it in a spray bottle here. Nothing special about this. Just simply spray it on and wipe it off with a Scott shop towel. We use these because they do a good job and they're disposable. All this does is really just wipe off any contaminants on the surface here. Dust, little particles, things like that. We've done the entire fender, so the next thing that we want to do is to mix up our primer. Now this is really simple. We're using the Evercoat Slick Sand here. This is a low VOC, volatile organic compound primer, and it's basically very simple. It is one of these tubes of liquid activator to 1 quart of slick sand. Now we've put that in our DeVilbiss HVLP Primetime spray gun, and proper technique for doing that is you want to plant yourself right here in the middle of your panel, hold your gun flat to the surface about 8 to 10 inches away, okay? You're going to want to start down here. Pull your trigger, make smooth, even strokes all the way across here. See how my wrist is cracked? Bring it down about halfway overlapping. Go back like this again. Again, all the way over here, bring it down, back and forth like this. You don't want to use an arcing motion because you're going to have more primer here and much less there. Smooth, even strokes, and don't be in a hurry when you do this, okay? So I'm going to step back now and let our expert Clemente from Tom's Custom Auto Body, come on in here, Clemente. I'm going to let him spray the primer on there because he's going to show you the proper way to do it. Okay, you notice there Clemente is using smooth, even strokes. He's 8 to 10 inches away. He's getting the product evenly coated on the project car's fender. And that's beginning to look really, really nice. That'll be a nice base for us to color sand. Or not rather color sand, but we're going to block sand this next. Color sanding comes later. Okay, so we'll let Clemente finish priming our project car's fender. And we're going to come right back after this break here on Classic Car Garage with our new product segment. Stay tuned.